person will come later and go through the book and authenticate it. That's why you will see. You see, طبعه دراسة. So they will authenticate the book, and then they will make comments. They will also grade the hadith that he's using. So you will see in the book, you will see these things. So it's authenticating. So this is not part of the original. Yeah. So you'll go on anything that is like unclear. They will do their best to make sure they understand. They make sure. So you see. So these are their comments, and they will be grading the hadith. They will bring a number of. So the sheikh most likely will not bring a number of the hadith, or where the hadith is, in which book, and the grade of the hadith. Is it sahih? Is it da'if? So that brings like more understanding of the person studying the book. Okay, we have differences here, but then this hadith is not authentic. But this person did not do that. And the best example you will take with is Ibn Kathir, his tafsir. The older one that has no tahqiq, you will read it, you will find a lot of Israeliyat. He won't say anything about it, grading it, is how authentic it is, what is our position. So people after will come and say, okay, this Israeliyat, this story is Israeliyat. It has no base, and this is our position into Israeliyat. So that helps. So then you want to read a book, you want to see the book is muhaqqaq, because muhaqqaq. Now, so you see, حققه وقدم له الراجي غفور ربه خالد بن خليل بن إبراهيم الزاهدي. So he's not authenticated there. Yes. نعم.
Is Zahidi his last name, or is that
Zahidi, where he from?
Okay.
Yes, Zahidi. Did we start Waraqat? Did we start Waraqat?
We did not.
We didn't. So this is the introduction of Zahidi, right? So this is introduction of the author, right? Yes, Mu'allif. So today we're just going to go through the understanding of the book. So this book is in Usul al-Fiqh. Usul al-Fiqh is the principles where the fiqh is taken from. That is Usul al-Fiqh. So every principle, every matter in fiqh is not the origin. Every matter we have and we call the fiqh is not the origin. It's a branch. It's been taken from the principle. It's been taken from the principle. Like for example, some of them will find original proofs, some of them will not find original proofs. But the intent is, one principle you can take hundreds of rulings from that one principle, and you'll always go back to the principle. For example, if somebody is praying, while they were praying they were strong enough to stand. While they were praying they were strong enough to stand. And while they were praying they become weak. And they are in need of sitting. Can you find a proof saying that, if you are praying, while you're praying, you cannot stand anymore, you sit? You won't find it. You will not find it. You will not find that statement. Right? So how can you go to the principle and bring a ruling out of it? They're not making a mistake. You're going to go to Usul Fiqh. There's one example, one principle says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah as much as you can. So here, you put yourself based on your ability. Right? You cannot do it anymore. The principle is telling you, then you do what you can do, but not fiqh. You are taking this ruling of the fiqh from the principle, from the principle. And there's another more appropriate evidence, which is لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah will not, like for example, you want to come from your home. Your car is not working. It's cold. And the proof is telling you that you cannot pray at home. Right? But you can walk. You can walk because you have length. But it might be difficult, right? It might be difficult. Did Allah call your name Abdullah, stay because your car is not working? That didn't happen, right? Where can you find it? From the principle. You want to go to a principle that's covering everything, and you take a ruling of fiqh out of that principle. Right? Like a principle again, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Right? Also, another person came to you and asked for food. They're dying. They want to eat. And the last thing you had, you just swallowed it, and then they ask you for food. And they're begging you to feel so bad. Right? Can you cut your flesh and give it to them? Can you sell your clothes and give it to them? You cannot do that. You don't have it. So how can you come out of that principle, out of the situation? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, Abdullah, you cannot give that person that because you don't have it. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who tells you, you cannot reject the person who asks you because they're in need. But here the principle said, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها. Right? Allah asks you to give something except what He gives to you. But now you don't have anything. So you cannot use a principle ruling for one fiqh matter. I don't know if you get this.
I don't get that one.
So the principle rule, the principle, the asl, cannot be used as a proof. It's bigger than one matter. It's million matters inside. So you cannot come with the principle evidence. An evidence that is representing principle. To use it to prove a branch. The branch itself has to have sometimes a specific ruling for that branch. If it doesn't have, it has to be originated from the principle. Or it can be originated from the principle as a whole, a cover, and then have a specific evidence that is supporting, or you can base that branch on that's exactly 50 and 50. Right?
Okay.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do not kill yourself. لا تقتلوا أنفسكم. Do not kill yourself. You know how many ways of killing yourselves? Is a lot. Then we go to few of them. Committing suicide. That's kind of like straightforward, right? But the Prophet ﷺ came and he said, if you kill yourself, if you commit a suicide, you're going to go to hellfire. That is 50 and 50. So the principle is, do not kill yourself. But that proof itself is a principle. It's bigger than just using it into a branch. So the branch either has to have something that's specific directed to that, that's specific targeting that. If not, we have to come back and say, it's been taken from this principle. If somebody comes and smoke, for example, did Allah say don't smoke? Allah didn't say don't smoke. But what smoke does to people? It kills people eventually. So you come and say, oh, did Allah say cigarette? No, He didn't say cigarette. But what the cigarette is doing is actually, we can go to the principle of this asl of this matter to say, oh, it has the original prohibition in the asl. So you come out, then we come and say, okay, the fuqaha will say because it caused this and this and this and this. So the asl doesn't bring the cause and the details, but it gives you like
It's a general
body. So from that general body, you take there. But if there is no asl, there is no deen. Okay? From asl, there is no deen. So this is the concept of the usul fiqh. It's the most difficult knowledge in, is more difficult than fiqh. It's more difficult than fiqh, usul fiqh. Yeah, the foundation of fiqh is more difficult than the fiqh itself, because the fiqh is the branch. So you need to understand the foundation. So and that's what we're going to learn. What we're going to learn here.
If asul, the word asul means
Origin.
origin.
Yes. Asl. Naam. So ana asli, my origin is Gambian. You know, your origin is, you can say asli. So then the origin of fiqh is usul al-fiqh. So it has the
Origin.
yeah,
Principles of fiqh.
the principles, exactly the principles of fiqh. Now, so this one is the person who made the Sharh was talking, you know, people who ask him to do all this. We're talking about the other books. Well, so let's go to the muqaddimah of the Shaykh. This was made for Dawra. So it's by Imam Al-Juwayni. So Imam Al-Juwayni, he's a Shafi'i. So Imam Al-Juwayni, if you hear Imam Al-Juwayni, people always refer him to Imam Al-Haramain. Imam Al-Haramain, because he was Imam in the Medina, he was Imam in Mecca. So they call him Imam Al-Haramain. So he's very famous, and you see now, this is the so the mu'alliq will come and do all these things. So let's try to know something about
The commentator.
the commentator. Yes, the commentator will do all these things. But then let's talk about Imam Al-Juwayni, because Imam Al-Juwayni, he's an imam in usul al-fiqh. He was an imam in fiqh. He's an imam in hadith. He's an imam in Quran. Yes. So he said, Ismuhu wa nasabuhu. What does that mean?
His name is
Ismuhu.
lineage.
Yes. Ismuhu, his name. He said, first, awalan, Ismuhu, let's learn about his name and his lineage. His lineage. And if you want to talk about somebody, you start with their name. If their name is known by everybody, you don't start with the name. You start with the, but Juwayni, we don't know him a lot. Many people don't know him. So I don't know if we know this person, because if we say Imam Al-Haramain, we have a lot of imams. Juwayni, he's from Juwayna, right? So we want to know what is his name and his lineage. And you'll add his madhab and where he's from. So that is very important. For example, if you want to learn the sunnah of the Prophet, the seerah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, you start with, you know, his birth, right? You know, because his lineage is very famous, so there's no need to talk about that. So we talked about Shaykh yesterday, right? Talked about Shaykh. He said, Huwa Shaykh. Huwa a-Shaykh. He is the Shaykh. What does he referring here? Because Shaykh in Arabic, linguistically, it means an old person. A person who is like old person. So that's why they used to say, when you call him, when the name Shaykh was not known in time of the Sahaba as alim. No. It was, when you say Shaykh, it was known as an old person. Like the Prophet ﷺ, when Abu Quhafa came, he told Abu Bakr, innahu shaykh, he is old. You know, and somebody said, Sa'id shaykh, like help the Shaykh. So it was not known as a Shaykh, but now young person have knowledge, they call him a Shaykh. So Shaykh, it's not a bid'ah because it's linguistic, but linguistic in Arabic is called Shaykh, and that's why they used to say, ناديتموني بشيخ ولست بشيخ فإنما الشيخ من يدب دبيبا. So you calling me Shaykh, so they start rejecting it in the beginning. You calling me Shaykh, I'm not a Shaykh. A Shaykh is the one who is walking with a cane and, you know, stepping here and there, about to fall, right? So that is Shaykh. So, but here now is accepted now, is known. You know, when we say Shaykh, we're referring to the person with knowledge. Naam. So, Ra'is al-Shafi'iyya. Ra'is, we know Ra'is. What Ra'is? Ra'is.
Rich.
No.
It's
Very close.
It's a position like the head of
Ra'is al-Dawla.
the head of
Ra'is America.
The president, essentially.
President.
Oh,
So Rais is a leader.
Rice is leader. Yeah.
So Rais is a leader.
Yeah.
So Rais Gambia, leader of Gambia. So here, what does he mean? Rais al-Shafi'iyya.
Head or the leader of the Shafi'i.
Shafi'i
Yes.
madhab.
So the leader of the Shafi'i madhab. So Juwaini, you cannot, if you are talking about, it's unfortunate, many Shafi'i, if I ask them who's Juwaini, they don't know. So you cannot miss Juwaini because he's the lead of the madhab al-Shafi'i. Naam. وأحد أصحاب الوجوه. And he is one of the people who will always have multiple opinions in one matter. Wajh is a face. But we don't say double face here because it's negative in America, right? Right? So, but when they call wujuh in usul fiqh or in fiqh, it means that the person who will always have multiple opinions in one matter. He's known for that. He will give you multiple options. Nah. So he wrote a big, like they call it, the levels of tabiq, the levels of Ash-Shafi'i. So he wrote a tabaq al-kubra, kabir kubra, the highest level of madhab Shafi'i. He's the one who wrote it, no Juwaini. Naam. وصاحب التصانيف, and he, we talked about sahib, right? Sahib in Somali is companion, right? A friend, companion. So, but sahib, we cannot say sahib al-tasanif. Tasnif is books. And we cannot say he is the companion of the books, right? He is the person with books, al-mufidah, very beneficial books. Yes. You know, sannafa means we actually using books is kind of like, it's collections. Tasnif is collections. So he is the person with beneficial collections. So tasanif will collect collections, and mufida. You know why he said, like, you have a pencil? So, should I write on this?
Go ahead.
So tasnif. So tasnif. So let's say at-tasnif al-mufid. Al-mufid. At-tasnif here is a mufrad. It's one. At-tasnif al-mufid. This is a masculine, right? And this is describing it. It has to be also the same thing. At-tasnif al-mufid. But here is at-tasanif al-mufida. So what made this to become, what they call it?
Feminine.
Feminine.
Is it the plural version of it?
Because it's plural. Anything in Arabic that is pluralized and is not a human being, you can use this. You can make it feminine. Yes. But if it is man, you cannot. Like if you say al-mar'atu al-jamilatu, this is what makes it different. This is what makes it feminine. So al-mar'atu, woman, al-jamilatu, right? Beautiful woman. Al-ka'batu al-musharrafatu, al-madinatu al-munawwaratu. So the subject and the description, they have to be both feminine. If it is singular, right? If it is feminine and singular. But if it is masculine, it has to be al-baytu al-jamilu, beautiful house, right? And manzilu al-wasi'u, wide house, right? And you say al-kitabu al-mufidu, a beneficial, inshallah, salam, a beneficial book, right? So now let's take books. So now we have al-kutubu, kitab kutub, right? We cannot say al-kutubu al-mufidu.
You cannot.
You cannot, because now it's a plural, and it's still masculine, but it's a plural. So whenever in Arabic you pluralize anything that doesn't have a soul, it has to be feminine. Al-kutub al-mufidatu. Al-mufida. So that will come. So that's why he said at-tasanif al-mufida. But the origin is tasnif, collection, beneficial collection. But he said at-tasanif, beneficial collections. So that will make it, and that's going to go everywhere.
But does that make, for example, tasanif, does that make that word feminine, or just because of the rule?
Yeah, that's the rule. So it is a rule.
Okay.
If you come on tasanif al-mufid, it's wrong.
Okay.
Because of if you jama, any jama, they call it, any jama that doesn't have a female private part, you have to make sure that is that's why they put in abiyat. Very particular.
So would I say like هذه الكتب, or say هذا الكتب?
هذه الكتب.
Okay.
Yes. So هذا الكتاب.
This is.
Yeah. We will go into that when we go to the Nahw Ajurumiyya. So they have هذا, which is ismu ishara, right? So this is a book. It's a masculine, right? هذا. But for example, kura, the football, right? Or the soccer ball, kura. هذه كرة. هذا كتاب. هذه كرة. هذا رجل وهذه مرأة. This is a man, boy, and this is a woman. But that's in fiqh. So I just want to make sure that when we say tasanif al-mufida, tasanif collection, so you always have to remember tasanif. You see here, always they will tell you, they could have just say, oh, sahib al-kutub, the person with books, right? But in this field, even in the, in the English part of it, they suggest collections, right? Yeah. So the benefit collections. Naam. Abul Ma'ali. So his nickname is Abul Ma'ali. Abul Ma'ali. So why they have Imam al-Haramain, Al-Juwayni, all these are, but when we say nickname in the Arabic culture, is when you call somebody's father or somebody's mother. Yes. Like what is your oldest?
Muhammad.
Muhammad is your oldest son, daughter. What is your oldest child?
Hania.
So we can say Abu Hania.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, like some brothers we call them Abu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's a kunya.
That's okay.
That should be the nickname. But the one that we use, the Somali have a lot of nicknames, but those are bad, right? Yeah. That is really bad. Yeah. Because it's prohibited. وَلَا نَعْبُدُ بِالْأَلْقَابِ. Don't make a fun with names. And you have a big hair, they call you the big hair. Big hair. You have big cheek, they call it that's not right. You limp, they call you limp, right? Yes. Yeah, so they have that. So but here the Prophet used to call Abu Huraira, Abu Bakr, Abu Hafsa. All the Sahaba they have, and Muhammad used to be called what?
Abu Qasim.
Abu Qasim.
Abu Qasim. It's always the male.
No, Abu
But
Ruqayya.
it can be
It has Abu
female
Ruqayya.
as well.
But the Arab back in the days, it was a shame for somebody to call after their daughter. But when the Prophet came, he called Abu Ruqayya Tamim Dari. There was narrated the hadith of Ad-Din al-Nasiha. Abu Tamim Dari. So Abu Ruqayya. So his kunya is Abu Ruqayya. Yes, Abu Ruqayya. So if it is a female, you can say Ummu. Like Aisha, her nickname was what? Abdullah.
Oh, yeah.
Abdullah. So this is a culture, it's a sunnah also. And actually they said every human being should have it, because all the Sahaba they have kunya, including the Prophet. All the Sahaba. No one almost was not called their name except they have a nickname. They will have that nickname. All of them. Yes, men and women. Especially Abu Salama, Salama. Yes. All of them.
Especially Abu Bakr.
Abu Bakr, yeah. He's not known.
Yeah, that's how he's known.
Yeah, that's how he's known. So this is a very strong sunnah that you will see in Saudi. They use it a lot. And if you go to Gambia, to the Shabab who are into the Sunnah, they really try to practice that. We have two. When I was in Ghana, we have my younger brother, he has, and my other cousin's son. They're very young. One of them is Abu Hamza, and one of them is Abu Malik. So I just Abu Malik, Naam. So they're very young, but they call them. So that's his kunya, Abu Maali. Abu Maali. So his full name is Abdul Malik. So Abdul Malik. So here we have Ibn, right?
Ibn.
We have the alif. Why?
What comes before it? So
Ibn al-Shaykh.
Ooh, that's unknown then.
Shaykh is unknown, Abdullah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Shaykh is not a name.
Yeah.
It's unknown. When you say a Shaykh, who do you mean? It's not known. Is it known? It's not.
So you remove the alif if
Yes,
it's two
if it
known
is
names.
two known, if the Ibn is between two known names, like Ibn is written like this, right? With the alif, right? But if this is a known name, it's a known name, you have to remove the alif.
Oh, bin. Then you do bin.
Yes, Ibn. Yeah. But alif is not there.
Yeah.
But here, they put it here. But you see here, Abdullah ibn Yusuf.
Yeah.
Yusuf
No
is known.
alif, yeah.
No alif. Abdullah is a known name, right? But a sheikh is unknown. Even though we're referring to him, but the sheikh can be used anywhere else, right? So a sheikh. That's why he put it. So Abdul Malik ibn Shaykh Abi Muhammad. So this sheikh, they call Badal. That Badal is very complicated. So this sheikh, he is this guy. A Sheikh Abi Muhammad Abdullah. That's the real name. But Sheikh came here, so this will eliminate this ruling. You get it? If the Sheikh was not here, and we say Abdul Malik ibn Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Yusuf, then we will not put it. But here we put the alif. So tomorrow when you see something like this, the Sheikh is not alam.
Okay, so I have a question here.
So if somebody comes here and say a sheikh, I may say no, I'm not a sheikh, right? I'm not a sheikh. So if somebody comes and say Al-Hagie, all will look at me, right? And that's my name. Even and they say Hussein, right? So the sheikh is not. Or come and say old man. That's what it means.
Sheikh.
Yeah,
Sheikh.
old
Oh,
man.
yeah, that's right.
I say I'm an old man. I can resist, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what they're telling you.
So the question I have here is that an actual name, or is he referring to this person as a sheikh?
A sheikh is referring to him as
A sheikh.
a sheikh. So
Okay.
who a sheikh? It's a shafi. So this is his like kind of title or
Okay, yeah. A
Yes.
sheikh, al-alim.
yes.
They're
So-
still describing him.
They describe as exact description. Yes. So but he is, let's say Abdul Malik ibn Abi Muhammad, but because of his name like Sheikh Al-Hagie, many people say Sheikh Imam Al-Hagie or Sheikh Al-Hagie. So describing him, but that's not my name. This is not his name. Okay. So Abdul Malik ibn Shaykh Abi Muhammad Abdullah ibn Yusuf ibn Muhammad Al-Juwayni. Naam. Al-Juwayni بضم الجيم. So to be more precise, the jim has to be dhamma. Al-Juwayni. So بضم الجيم وفتح الواو Al-Juwayni. So it's Al-Juwayni. Al-Juwayni. So when if you can mention all name, just Imam Al-Haramain Juwayni, and Sheikh also with them وفتح وسكون all this is describing the name. They want to make sure no one makes mistake on the name. He said the name has to be بضم الجيم, the jim has to be dhamma. وفتح الواو, the waw has to be fatha. وسكون الياء, the ya has to be sukun. So they want to don't make mistakes in the name. Because it happens, right? المثنات التحية وبعدها نون. So you see, he's still describing the name. After the ya sukun, you have a noon, al-Juwayni, noon. نسبة إلى جوين وهو ناحية كبيرة في نواحي نيسابور. So Juwayni is also from Naysabur. So who's else from Naysabur? Bukhari. Abu Abdullah. So they're all from those Tan. So it's from there also. So then if the Somalis there say, oh, Shafis belong to us. That's what they believe, right?
Yeah.
And when you start learning Hanafi also, somebody,
They say-
one of the books that we have, no, actually that's the Sirah, written by one of the Hanafis. Yes. So he's all the way there, and then he's the leader of the Shafi'i. So we know, at least we know him, his name, we know his madhab, and his level in that madhab, and now we know where he's from. So Juwayni, he is a region in Naysabur. He used to be very known as place that people, scholars, they used to run from Sham to Juwayna. Yes. So it's a very big place in Naysabur. This is where, like, most of the scholars in this time, they have to migrate. Like, for example, today, you wanna study in America, in every part of the world. You wanna be in America to study, to have a degree in America. This is how Naysabur was, and all the surrounding Naysabur. So Naysabur was a place that you wanna be known as a scholar, you have to at least, pass through Naysabur. Yeah, that's how it was. Yeah. So we should stop there, okay? Now, so that's the most important thing to know is about him. At least when you talk about usul fiqh, you can read Al-Juwayni. Yeah, you know it, Al-Juwayni and Imam Al-Haramain, and his name, the Shafi'i, and he had a lot of beneficial books. All you can say collections, and his full name is right there. The full name in the beginning, just go through it, memorize, you're gonna forget about it, but you get used to it. Whenever you wanna bring it, you can have part of his name. But the most important thing is what he is known of right now, Juwayni. Yeah, when you say Juwayni, that's it. That is him in Usul. Now,
The person that wrote this book, the Sharh, how long ago did they live? Not Al-Juwayni, but the person that wrote this.
This is very recent.
Okay.
Very recent. Zahidi, he's alive.
He's still alive?
Yeah. You see, وعضو مجلس العلم في محافظة الإسلام التمريد. He's in Kirkuk. He's still alive.
Kirkuk or Iraq, okay.
Yeah.
That's another place.
Yeah, Kirkuk, yeah. He's still alive. So we'll talk about that. So they will bring you the way this is original right? This is the book. So this guy will come. How am I gonna read this? So they will use this and authenticate the writing. You see, this is how they used to write the books. So they put all they call it makhtutat. So when you go to when you go to Jamiat al-Imam now, they have this used to be there. They're happy.
Yeah, they're stamped.
They're stamped.
Yeah.
So when you go, they call it al-makhtutat. So the learning of this is what they call makhtutat. You will find some of them. This is even like this good. This is very, very decent. You will find some of them actually you will not be able to read. So it gives you the example of how difficult it is for this person to sit and have that thing, what they call it.
Side thing, yeah. Magnifying glass.
Yeah. To magnify it and write and make sure he doesn't make a mistake to get all of it right. Some of them is erased because it was written with the daha, we call it daha, right? So they use that. So when you go Jamiat, they will have days that you just go to the library, they have mahfutat, so they give you a book, so you can read it and summarize it. You understand? Sometimes you open a book, you can look at the page, you may just find one, like for example here, Tawheed. Because some of them they don't put the dots. So that also is another thing. So it's a lot of progress that people did. And this is not just in the Arab world, it's also in the Western. People who used to write, they authenticate them and they put them in.
So is this his actual handwriting?
Yes.
The Imam al-Juwayni?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Actual handwriting.
Wow.
Yes, this is actual handwriting.
And this person has just taken
Yes.
this and then made a
Yes.
cleaner version of it.
Yes. So he takes it. They will go to the library, and they will say, "This is the books of Juwayni," and he will have a contract to authenticate them. So they will still have the copy of it.
Mhm.
So they will give him a copy,
Mm.
or they will let him now. They will not stay there with the copy. So he will put it, and then they will have a committee
Mhm.
who will authenticate what he wrote.
Wow.
Through and through till everything is done,
Mhm.
and then he will rewrite it and then make his ta'liq. After you rewrite it, then
Mhm.
then you make your comments. You make tahqiq, you authenticate the hadith, because it's a lot of work, and you don't have a lot of resources, to put all those information there. So they just connect the book and put it there for people to come and do something about it. So when, like, for example, you see this, all this is they write it. But for example, what we do here,
The notes you made.
the notes you made, all he brought it. So the journey to what he used to make in his writings and all those things. You didn't want something, just put it there. Yeah.
How long ago did he live?
Imam al-Juwayni, he's here.
Getting ahead.
19 و400. So
I think it's a 1097 or 1098 in one of those pages.
yeah, so we learn. So he died 419 after the Hijrah. No, yeah.
19 after Hijrah.
1200 almost? No, not 1200. Oh, about 1,000 years ago.
But yeah, 1,000 years ago.
1,000 years ago.
Yeah, 1,000 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is Dawla Umayyad. Yeah, that's a long time ago. In Dawla Umayyad. In Dawla Umayyad, they were most focused in, almost 1,000 years ago. Yeah, in Dawla Umayyad. So you will learn about where he was born, his kunya, his laqab, his upbringing and seeking knowledge, his sheikhs, his students. So we're just gonna go through this very quick, and his death. Now, so this is the Sharh, the one who interpreted Jalaluddin al-Mahalli. Yeah, a lot of names that you need to know. Jalaluddin also. The book, many people were Jalaluddin Egyptian. Jalaluddin or Jalaluddin?
Yeah.
Huh?
There's two the Jalalains, right?
No, Jalaluddin. Jalaluddin is Mufassir. Is Jalaluddin Suyuti? Imam
Yep,
Suyuti.
yeah.
Imam Suyuti is a student of Jalaluddin.
Al-Mahali?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So you see, all this is a student of Jalaluddin. Yeah. But all this like either from Iraq, like Sirajuddin al-Buqayni, or like Burhan Ibrahim al-Anbalisi, Muhammad Musa al-Dumairi. So a lot of names that you need to know. A lot of names. Okay, you see, I just mentioned Suyuti, one of his famous students, Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, 911. Shamsuddin al-Sakhawi, Egypt.
I've heard of him.
Sakhawi, yeah,
Sakhawi.
892. Nuruddin al-Shamhudi, also very famous in Usul. Ibrahim Muhammad Abi Sharif al-Maqdisi. So this is another Maqdisi. We learn about the Maqdisi
Taqiyuddin.
Taqiyuddin. So it is Ibrahim Sharif al-Maqdisi. But they are from different generation. Yeah.
There's also Ibn Qudama too, right? Al-Maqdisi.
Yeah, Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi, yeah. Yep, a lot to learn.
Yeah.